Welcome to Kicking It Local, the podcast all about the football community in South Australia. I'm your host, Johnny Kecko, and today I'm kicking it comfortably, all thanks to Macron Sports Hub Adelaide, providing clubs and sports podcasters with their teamwear needs. Macron Store, adelaide.com.au to get your gear today. And today I'm joined by someone who's also dressed in Macron as well, the President of Flinders United, Shannen Connolly. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to chat with you, and thank you for bringing me a scarf as well.
You're most welcome. Got to dress you local.
That's it. I'm going to be nice and warm in winter with that blue, white, and green.
Yeah, that's
it.
So
it should be good. Looking forward to wearing that, and looking forward to seeing what the club do as well. First year in a WNPL, Flinders United. It's a big achievement for you guys.
Absolutely. To watch the girls over the last couple of years in the State League, and then obviously win promotion in the last year, it's phenomenal, and I'm incredibly proud of them as far as they're going at the moment. It's been a big challenge. There's been a lot of off-field work that the girls have had to put in, but the club couldn't be more prouder of them. And me as president, I'm proud as punch.
We were chatting a little bit off air before we started recording, and I could see how proud you are of the club. It's great to see the passion you have for women's football.
Yeah, it's been a long journey for me. I mean, I've played football since I was 5. So for me, watching women and the game grow for girls and women, it's been absolutely massive, to see girls transition from youth to senior, the well-seasoned players. You've got your Stella Ragons, your Rachel Quigleys, all those sort of players. They're what, you watch and girls aspire to be like now. And then you got the Matildas. The Matildas weren't huge when we were growing up. Now you've got little girls in the crowd watching them.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing as well, which I saw during Easter, was I went to the local shops and you had AFL Easter eggs, NRL Easter eggs, and then Matildas Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Normally in the past you wouldn't even have anything soccer, but
no,
we didn't have Socceroos ones, but we've got Matildas, which is great for the brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To watch the Matildas grow has been phenomenal. Like I said, growing up, a lot of us didn't have that to look up to. Even the Socceroos weren't, games weren't televised, they weren't advertised. Merchandise you couldn't get. Now it's everywhere, and you couldn't just be more happier for the game.
It's great, and I'm loving seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing pictures of Matildas at the in the mall, which is great.
Yeah.
And also around the corner, there's a big mural of Sam Kerr.
So good.
So it's awesome to see. Growing up as a kid, it was very rare to see any soccer. Now we're seeing the Matildas, which is unheard of, but it's fantastic to see where women's football's come. And also at the end of the year, we're going to have the Women's World Cup here, so it's going to be exciting to see what happens there. So we got heaps to talk about with you, but I want to kick it all off with your career. You started playing when you were 5 years old.
Yeah. That's
very, very young for a young footballer. Is there any influence in the family?
So my family have a lot of influence from Scottish football. Yep. So we actually had family members that played for Celtic.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day. So my cousin Shona, she was playing soccer, and she actually played for Fulham girls, and she was someone I sort of looked up to, and I did calisthenics, and I remember turning to my dad in the car, I was like, I hate calisthenics, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to play soccer. And he looked at me like, do you know anything about like our history? And like my dad was a soccer player, and I was like, no, I really want to play soccer. And so out we searched looking for a club, and my first club was Para Hills East, or no, Para Vista, I reckon, was my first club.
Yeah.
Wow. But that was really interesting because it was like it was a mixed competition, but I was the only girl for years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now you're running a club that is only for women.
Yeah.
But how did it feel, like now looking back on it, having to start off with a mixed team, being the only female in that team?
It was hard. When I look back, I mean, it was good for my development. I was a lot stronger coming into the women's comps later on.
Yep.
I was used to being roughed up by the boys and, not backing out of tackles and, throwing them to the ground, which was kind of good. But then I also saw the ugly side of it where, I was the only girl and I was getting pitch time and some of the sons weren't, and parents, the fathers were like, well, your daughter's playing and my son's not. And he's like, but she's better than your son, and it's like, my dad had that tussle sort of every week on the sideline with parents, but, my trophies speak for themselves, you know, best and fairest in a boys team and coach's choice in a boys team. And it's like, you know, I'm probably not the only female that's had that experience growing up. So...
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the female footballers I've spoken to, most of them have started out in the mixed teams because back in those days there wasn't many female teams. But you, everyone does say that they do get that toughness from there. Do you reckon it will change women's football in the next 10, 15 years with the females, or is that going to be benefit having the full female teams?
Look, I think it will be a benefit to have full female teams. They get the connection from their peers, they get the developmental stages, and girls are changing. They're becoming more aggressive, more tougher. I mean, you look at NTC a few years ago and they were easily pushed off the ball, they weren't ready to sort of tackle, but now they're in there, they're fighting, they're aggressive, and it's like they're coming up against better opposition, and it's just going to keep developing.
It's with the career later on, you end up representing South Australia.
I did.
What was that like?
That was, it's very different to what it is now. You know, I talked to, you know, Lauren and Amy Shilvers, the twins, you know, Donna Cocaine, even Rachel Quigley. You look back, they were all in the state development programs, and it's so different to what it is now, but it was a great time to be a part of. You know, you go to trials, you then you go off and you select your state. I mean, South Australia always sort of struggled against New South Wales or Victoria, but it was a great experience to have, and you felt proud as punch representing your state. You were like, I'm in, you know, state colours. It's something amazing.
Yeah. Do you see the way the system was back then? Do you like the way it is now, or do you?
I'm not too involved with the way it is now. I think there is a lot that we start putting on our players at this stage. You know, you've got part-time programs and full-time programs, and, you know, I can't really comment too much on it because I'm not involved in it, but it seems like a lot for the girls, and it seems a little bit more cutthroat. It's sort of like girls are vying for positions, where back in the day it was like, this is your position and you're a team and you work together. You're not an individual. And that's something, you know, we bring into Flinders United. We don't have a WMPL reserve mentality. We have a squad mentality, and we work on a player movement system. So it's like, you know, you're not defined that in WMPL and you're not defined by reserves. It's like you work as one, you train as one, and it goes off selections every week. Every week the coaches sit down, they have their selections, they go, right, you know, Sarah performed this week or Kiara performed this week in training, and so she deserves a spot. You know, it's all about giving the girls opportunities and that they've got to work for it. It's not just a given with us.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way of doing it. Something different that's not really done at any other club.
Yeah, I think, you know, for myself, it's come from my own experiences. You know, I've played WMPL, I've played reserves, and it's always a bit of a us and them sort of culture. You know, it's like, oh, who am I getting in the reserves this week, or who am I getting in WMPL this week? And it's like, no, you all know each other. You should all work together. You should all know how each other play, and that's what's really important. It's not their WMPL and, oh, they're going to help us out in reserves this week. You know, I've been to clubs where they don't really consider or look after the reserves, where for us, they're one group. We have a squad of 35 and they all work together, and they all know each other on and off the field. They go socialising, they go out for dinners, you know, they play together, and that's really important for me.
I like that mentality. That's a good way of doing it, and a little bit different, but LA United men's almost like that, their youth team, most of them train with the men, which is good because then you look at the way they're developing those youngsters.
That's it. And it's all about getting that connection. It's not like, oh, who have I got this week in left back, or who. It's like, right, I know I've got her. I can rely on her. Or I know she does this better, or she does that. And it's like that's the important thing. There's no an us versus them. And we do that with our social sides as well. You know, we have Div 4s and 5s training together. We have Div 2s training with the reserves. You know, we work together. Everybody, I can proudly say, pretty much knows everybody in the club.
That's fantastic. You don't get that at many. Well, you do get it at some clubs, but it's great to see that this newish kind of club is already forming that kind of culture around it, which is fantastic to see. But let's talk a little bit more about your playing career as well. Yeah. Because I want to talk more about the club a bit later. But you also played for a couple of other clubs, Metro and also Campbelltown.
Yeah.
What was that experience like to play senior football?
Senior football at a young age. So I've played at quite a few clubs. When I first started out in juniors, I actually played at Elizabeth Vale because I lived out north.
Yep.
And I was an under-17. I was playing for South Australia. I played under-17s. I'd play reserves. I'd play prems, 3 games in one day. And then I'd train like every day of the week.
Jeez.
The senior girls would, drive me to Macca's in between games and get cheeky little like top-up foods because that's what you needed. But then, obviously went to Campbelltown. They were a bigger club at the time. We had, it was a massive development program. They had the reserves, they had the prems. Ended up playing Premier League for them for a few times. My last stint with Campbelltown was in 2006 when they were in the Premier League, or 2016, I think it was. Yeah, so it wasn't a great year. I actually transferred back to Flinders. But look, it was what it is. And, Metro, I joined Metro when they went through their disbandment from Metro Stars at the time. They became Metro United. And I was inspired by some pretty powerful women there too. So, you got Dora and Nicole and Marie, who's now part of the Federation. They were all wonderful, inspirational people to me to look up to.
Yeah.
Women in administration. So it wasn't just about the football on the field. It was what they were doing off the field. That was the big thing for me.
How do you find the formation of the club as Metro United as they're now seen? As a female footballer, to watch that and see a club form its own female club, how do you find that?
That was pretty impressive. It takes a lot of guts to go off and form something on your own, and then to be as niche as it was in the time, to be just a female only entity. It was massive. No one else was doing it. No one was looking at doing it, and they did it off all on their own back. So I give massive credit to them because look at where they've come from and where they are now and what they've achieved. It's great. It's
Also, your career itself hadn't been too easy. You got no ACLs in either of your knee.
Nope.
What was it like? Because football, soccer, soccer's the most common sport to have the ACL injuries for players.
Yeah.
What was it like with the ACLs, and what made you opt for not getting the operation?
So I did my first ACL when I was probably about 18, 19. I actually did it at Women's Memorial playing fields, so our home ground, ironically, and it was awful. I remember it like the whole knee just going, and then I was in absolute agony. I was young at the time, and I had all these surgeons saying, "Oh, you need to have surgery," and it just didn't feel right to me. So I worked on improving it and strengthening it, and then probably about 2 seasons later, I did the other ACL, and I was like, but I had no stability in either knees at all. So the minute I planted a foot to take a kick, my knee would buckle and I'd collapse and it would go again and it'd be weak because there's no strength. So, I sourced out a really good rehab consultant, physio, and they were like, right, well, if you're not going to go to the surgery, you can be classed as what's called a coper, someone who copes with no ACLs. You can do it, but it is a lot of work. So I took 12 months off of football and I completely got my muscles to start talking again. So one of the biggest problems is you lose the muscle memory.
Yep.
There's nothing to talk to your knees. And so your quads, your hammies, everything, they're just jelly. I had muscle there, but when I would tense it, you wouldn't see anything. Yeah. So I focused on the rehab and I strengthened them for 12 months. And then, I started in the social leagues to try and get back.
Yep.
And then, I built my way back up again.
It's not a common route that players take to opt for no surgery. What do you believe was the reason behind you doing that?
I didn't like the bad side of the surgery, the recovery, the healing, the downtime. I don't like being bedbound or incapable for a period of time. I'm always on the move. I'm always doing something. And it was like, I think I have enough trust in my body to know that I can do this myself. And so I do, I just wasn't keen on someone slicing my knee open and going to town and trying to fix something. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can do it if I can.
Would you recommend players to take that route or even look at it or consider it?
I'm not a professional, but you see it advertised everywhere, ACL. I mean, the England captain's just done an ACL, and it's like, it's all about, how quick can they get back, or how quick can they do this? And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. You've got the resources around you. Try without it.
Yeah.
It is a journey, but surgery is not your only option. I'm living proof of that.
Absolutely. Well, you're the first person I've spoken to that's taken that option. You're happy with that option?
I'm very happy with my option. Some days I might have a little bit of a pain, or when it gets to colder weather, you get that bit of feeling, because you can get arthritis and things like that, but that can happen with surgery as well. So it's like, I don't feel like I've done myself a disservice. I'm still playing. I'm still able to score goals. I'm still able to tackle like no tomorrow. Like, it hasn't affected me. It maybe in 10 years' time I might say different, but I've managed to hold a stable career for...
It's been about 15 years already since the first one.
Yep.
There you go. So it's been well. But hopefully no more injuries for you in the future. But let's talk about your Flinders United. This club here is now, it's only couple years old.
Yeah.
But you started off as Flinders Flames, joining up with the Cumberland United. 2 teams, now 1.
Yeah.
How did it all come about?
So Flinders Flames was pretty much just a senior women's side, and we always tried to recruit juniors. Cumberland did have the full complement, and then over time it ended up being just juniors. We at Flinders Flames, we sort of had a 5-year plan to try and, because we'd lost a lot of ground space. We went from 4 fields, like actual pitches at Flinders, to 1.
Yep.
Because they built a car park on top of it. We rocked up to training one night. There was a car park on our training space. And we were never going to be fully sustainable there, because they just kept chopping land. And it was like, we were sharing space with not just the women's soccer, the men's soccer, baseball, cricket, footy. So it's like we weren't going to be sustainable, but also we didn't have any pathways. We couldn't go any further than the community leagues or state league, because we didn't have juniors. We couldn't have players coming up from the junior leagues into senior football, because we didn't have junior pathways. We, explored options with other clubs, and they just weren't the right fit. They kind of just want to absolve you, and it's like, we're stronger than this. We're an entity in its own. And then the opportunity, we have a lot of girls that have actually come from Cumberland back in the day as their juniors, and it was an opportunity. They're around the corner from us.
Yep.
It seemed like a really good fit. You had your juniors, your seniors. It's not just trying to like mesh into a culture that's already there. You build on it. And so, we saw it as an opportunity. The juniors had options to come through into senior football, have options to play senior WMPL reserves. That was our aim, is to eventually get to that stage.
Yep.
And then the seniors have options to get involved in coaching junior girls, helping each other out. There was so much benefit to doing it.
That's it's pretty cool to see what you guys have formed there. And I came down once early in the preseason to do an interview with the coach, Joel Porter, and also Anastasia as well, Willoughby, your captain. And the culture around there seems pretty cool. It was for a club that's only been around for a couple of years. Seems like the culture's built very quickly. As a president, how did you come about with that? For that,
as a president, I don't create the culture. The players create the culture. They create the environment. So we just enhance it or, encourage it. The big thing is, we want the senior girls coming out supporting junior girls. We want the junior girls coming out supporting the seniors. That's really important to have that. And you all help each other out. We had 7 games at home yesterday. And from 9 o'clock, we had seniors running the kiosk. We had seniors running the lines for junior games. We had parents getting involved, parents donating stuff to the canteen, cupcakes and muffins. And, we've got senior girls coaching junior girls. So it's just a big atmosphere, and it's something that you've got to maintain, but the players maintain that. The club only encourages it. So to see the girls do that is amazing.
As the president, what led you into becoming a president? Or did you get forced into it?
No, I didn't get forced into it. So I don't know. I think when I look back, I was inspired by people like Nicole, Dora, Marie. These were women running a women's club, and it was like, I play on a lot of my own experiences and what I went through as a youth, being in part of men's clubs, seeing how the culture was for girls and women, basically. When I first joined Flinders Flames, I think it was about 12 years ago, the first season, girls were sort of picking where they played. And I was like, that doesn't really work. Your coaches have got to have a say. And so I joined the committee and then got involved and helped create a bit of structure. We go on a selection policy, girls play together, they work together. It's a long time that it's been built up. And then eventually, I was vice president for a couple of years. And then, I had I had a really wonderful president, Natalie Ziersch, at the time. She was very open to change and building the club up. And she obviously had plans. And that's why we had a 5-year plan. So we developed that. And yeah, I guess I took over, from her, and it was like, all right, this is where we're going now. So we've explored all the options, and now we're going to look to create the new entity, which is what we did.
What's the daily routine of a president? It's a bit more for you than a normal president role? Or?
Look, I'm always doing football things.
Yeah.
Always doing football things. But I'm a very hands-on president. So, you'll see me slinging coffees in the kiosk, or, I'm organising uniforms and merchandise, or, I step in, help out coaching, or I'm running a team managers meeting or coaches meeting.
When you're putting out cones when I was there as well, I think.
Yeah.
Helping out with with training.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, as much as I am a president, at the end of the day, I am a player too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want the club to be successful, and I don't think you can just sit back and just say, yeah, let it go. You've got to be active.
What's the future plan for the club? You're in the WNPL now.
Yeah.
It's a big achievement for the club, and so I'm assuming it's something that you guys wanted to get to.
Yes.
What's the future for the club? It's just to have a sustainable club that can bring through players and also an avenue for players to come back and play amateur football as well?
Yep. So for us, it's not just about on the field, it's off the field as well. So we want women and girls to be more involved in the club administration side. We want them to get involved in coaching. We want them to get involved in refereeing. We want senior players that may be slowing down to have a place to come home to. Okay, they might not be playing anymore, but they've always got somewhere to be. It's that social aspect as well. So yeah, okay, we're in WNPL, but we want a greater picture.
With you've only been in it for a short period at the moment, but what's some of the things you've enjoyed about being in the WNPL so far for the club?
I've loved watching the players and the mentality. Like, we have a really good group of girls. It doesn't just stem down from the WNPL squad. It stems down to all our senior girls and juniors, you know. Seeing them play week in, week out, go hard or go home, they have the belief in each other, and it's something that it's really nice to just watch.
Yep.
Just sit back and enjoy it.
Did I enjoy playing against players like Rachel Quigley in the league, and also potentially some A-League players that are about to come back?
Yeah, I think for a lot of the girls it might be a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yep.
But I think sharing the park with some of those players, it is just phenomenal.
It'd be great for the development as well.
That's right.
To play up against those players, especially in the World Cup year as well.
Yeah.
The buzz around women's football was huge.
Yeah. Oh, it's massive. I mean, I'm actually really proud of Football South Australia and a lot of the clubs, because they all voted to have a break, a 2-week pause, so girls or anyone can go see these games. We're the only federation that is doing that. Every other federation is still going with their seasons and leagues, and it's like, for me, it's like, no, you want to support the women's game.
Yep.
So I'm really proud of Football South Australia and the clubs, because the clubs voted for it.
It's great, and I've seen a lot of clubs in the men's and the women's the players going interstate. I've got my tickets for the grand final as well. So
amazing!
It's looking forward to that. So, but it's good to see everyone going out and enjoying it. I wish the break was longer so I wouldn't miss finals.
I think everyone was like, "Oh, is it only group stages?" But I mean, the reality is the game still has to go on here.
Absolutely,
too.
but at least we got the local games. We can go here and just not have to worry about playing or
That's right.
or commentating in my area. So, but it's good to see the buzz is coming around. What do you think it's going to do for your club having the Women's World Cup here?
I hope it increases numbers at all level, you know, young girls seeing these amazing female athletes playing, you know. Some girls might not even be interested in soccer, but you hope that they go to these games and then they go, I want to play soccer or I want to play football, you know, not AFL, football. You hope that, and then they find clubs like ours, you know, that we get them involved, we develop them, and they have a lifetime pathway. They're not just starting at a grassroots level. They can go all the way with us. You know, there's opportunities up right through senior football. Is
that what you're proud about the most about the club, or is there?
I'm proud of everything in our club. Like I'm very biased, but I've loved to see, I mean, I'm proud to say, you know, we retain our players. You know, 95% of our players return, and the ones that don't typically are because they go away or they've got studies or life. You know, it's not because they're disgruntled with the club.
Chatting to you, I speak to a lot of people who are passionate about the game, passionate about coaching, passionate about playing or volunteering. Talking to you, I can see how passionate you are about the women's game and also about football in general. But what do you believe is the reason that you're so passionate about what you're doing right now?
I think I'm so passionate because I'm hoping that the girls are getting opportunities that some of us didn't have. You know, I reflect back and it's like, if I had had this opportunity, would I be where I am today? Or could I have gone further? Or I think back at a lot of things in my own personal life with soccer and football and, you know, all the things that I've challenged and faced. And it's like, I hope that they have that opportunity that I didn't, or I could have had, but didn't, you know. So I hope that's an avenue for anyone that plays at our club.
What are some of those opportunities you wish you could have had?
Just even like, you know, the Matildas, Junior Matildas program, you know, the way that goes about, you know, it wasn't a thing. You know, but now you see Junior Matildas and it's like, it probably was a thing, but South Australia wouldn't even get a look in back in the day. Now, you know, you've got your Alex Chidiacs, you've got, you know, your Charlie Grants, you know, all those players from South Australia. Look at them. They're on the world stage. You couldn't be prouder.
It's fantastic to see.
Yeah.
And seeing Charlie Grant score as well, that was incredible.
It is. And she's an ex-Cumbie girl.
There you go.
We're very proud of her.
It's great for the girls to look up to as well.
That's it. You just want opportunities and doors to open for these girls, you know. I think becoming a mum myself in the last year, that's, you know, I've got a daughter, Lila, and it's just, you know, she's got no choice. She's playing bloody football. But, you know.
Which club?
Who knows? Let her decide.
Definitely, I reckon it'll be Flinders United for sure. What would you do if she didn't choose Flinders United?
That would be a hard one. No, honestly, like as long as she plays football, that's all that matters to me.
That's a great way to answer that question. Not sitting on either side of the fence. No, there you go. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the club can do. It's very exciting. But one last thing about your coach as well, Joel Porter, former A-League player. He's played overseas. He's got that experience. What's it like for the club to have someone with that much experience coaching the girls?
I still remember the day that, you know, we got in contact with Joel Porter and it was like, he wants to come across, you know, he saw that what we were doing, I think 6 years ago and what we were trying to achieve, and we're here now.
Yeah.
And, you know, we call him our saviour because he is. He is a wonderful man on and off the field, and he has a lot of respect from the girls, not just at the WNPL level, but across the club.
Yeah.
We're also very fortunate. We actually have Sharon Black coaching, who's an ex-Matilda.
Wow. And
played for the Lady Reds. So
what's it like to have her there as well? Those two just helping out the club, and
it's amazing. Sharon coaches the Div 5 team, you know, and they're a bunch of women who get together and, you know, it's more about the social, but also a bit of fun on the field. And she helps develop their skills, and I think they absolutely love her. And we're so blessed to have, you know, a former Matilda and former Socceroo at the club.
Yeah, it's unreal. And someone like Joel Porter as well, I'm sure there will be a lot of opportunities at other WNPL clubs and to do. And he was at your club during the WSL as well, and get you guys to where you are now. So to have someone like that backing you guys is excellent for the women.
Well, he actually came in. So he came in when we were in community leagues, and he didn't even take the top job. We had Paul Mayo as the Div 1 coach, and Joel actually took on the Div 2 position. And then Paul, because he lived at Campbelltown, it's fair way for him. So he obviously left the second year, and then Joel stepped up, and then Joel's built it from where it took off.
Yep.
And he stayed with us. You know, we'll back him all the way, 100%. So
we'll see where he can take you in the future, hopefully.
Let's hope.
It's good to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the pathways and what hopefully future Matildas you guys can produce as well.
I hope so.
Maybe your daughter could be a future Matilda.
I hope so.
That'll be fantastic. Well, let's end it with the kicking it questions. I'm looking forward to asking you these because I don't think you've ever thought about them. So, question number 1, which footballer would you love to kick it with on the park? Anyone in the world you had the opportunity?
So if I think back to my youth and, you know, Australian soccer in general just wasn't a thing, but American female soccer was. It'd be Mia Hamm.
Nice. What reason behind that? She inspired you?
She was an inspiration because, you know, you'd see little snippets of her in newspaper articles, or, you know, you'd hear about her in the soccer world because American female football was huge back then. And, you know, she was scoring goals and, you know, she was just a great advocate for the women's game. So even just to be in her presence would be phenomenal.
Absolutely. Well, this next one is the final one. Name 2 people, someone locally and someone internationally, who you'd love to kick it with on a Saturday night watching football. Have a few drinks or sling some coffees and...
Yeah.
Sit down and have coffee.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
I mean, for me, I'd probably... Someone local. God. Let's have a think.
There's many good options.
There is. Like I'm racking my brain completely.
There's no limit. You can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want.
You can have a couple of people extras if you want.
I don't know.
I'm team.
Internationally, you know what? I'd love to sit down with Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, yep.
Only because, not because of his good looks,
yep.
but, you know, look at where he's take Wrexham.
Yeah. How incredible is that?
You know, a man of celebrity figure, you know, and he's so invested in this football club. And it's like, I want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
So internationally, that's who I would like to sit down with. It's
the passion that they have, and then they're not even football people, but to put their money into that and build a club like that, it's incredible.
Absolutely. And then locally, I mean, I could probably do it anyway, but it would be Joel. You know, just to actually sit down and watch a game, and, you know, he reads the game so well, and it's like he sees things before we even see them. Yeah. You know, and it's crazy. And so just to actually just sit and watch a game, not necessarily have to be our game, just any game, it would be very interesting. I'm sure he's got a lot of stories to tell about his playing days as well. I'm sure he does. So that'll be a lot of fun to have him and Ryan Reynolds. Could you imagine having... I think a lot of people want to have a beer with Ryan Reynolds at the moment. I think so. I still... That's phenomenal, like where they've come from, and just the passion that is incited by the club, by this one person that purchased a soccer club 2 years ago. And it wasn't just... a struggling club. That's right. But it wasn't just a celebrity stunt. Like, he's really invested in it. And it's like, you know, what made you choose that route or decision? It's like, I would love to pick that brain. It's a fairy tale ending as well. Like, with the doco and all that, the way they've done it. It's... we could talk about that for another episode as well, I reckon. I'm going to try and get Ryan Reynolds on. Picking the local with Ryan Reynolds. That'd be a good get. But no, thank you for joining me, Shannen. It's been a pleasure chatting to you and seeing your passion that you have for the game. And looking forward to what Flinders United can do. And hopefully WNPL is not just a short stint. Hopefully it's a long one for the club. That's it. Let's hope so. And thanks for having me. That was the president of Flinders United, Shannen Connolly. Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow @Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter
so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon!